Logos Bible Quiz 2025. Study Guide Part 4. Judges chapters 19, 20 and 21. The Levites' concubine and the outrage at Gibeah. The other tribes attack Benjamin. The Benjaminites saved from extinction. Judges, chapters 19. The Levites' concubine and the outrage at Gibeah. The chapter has two headings. The Levites' concubine, Gibeah's crime. It has 30 verses. Judges chapter 19 summary. A Levite from Ephraim retrieves his concubine from Bethlehem. They stayed with her father for several days. On their return journey, they refused to lodge in Jebus, Jerusalem, and choose Gibeah, a Benjaminite town. In Gibeah, no one offers them hospitality except an old man. Judges chapter 19 summary continued. That night, wicked men of the city surround the house and demand to abuse the Levite. Instead, his concubine is given to them and is brutally raped all night. She dies on the doorstep, and the Levite dismembers her body, sending parts to the 12 tribes of Israel as a call to action. Judges chapter 19. Main characters. The Levite, main male figure, retrieves his concubine. Central to the narrative. The concubine, victim of abuse. Her fate ignites national outrage. Concubine's father welcomes the Levite and delays his departure. The old man, Ephraimite living in Gibeah who offers hospitality. Men of Gibeah, the perpetrators of the violent crime. Judges chapter 19. Major places. Bethlehem in Judah, where the concubine was from and fled to. Ephraim, hill country, where the Levite lived. Jebus, Jerusalem, refused as a lodging option due to being foreign. Gibeah, Benjaminite town where the crime occurred. Ramah, mentioned as a nearby location as the Levite and concubine travel. Judges chapter 19. Important themes. Moral decline. The chapter reflects the deep moral and social corruption in Israel during the time of the judges. Failure of hospitality. Gibeah, though part of Israel, fails in its sacred duty of hospitality, a strong cultural value in ancient Israel. Abuse and violence. The story centers around the abuse of the Levites' concubine, symbolizing the degradation of justice and humanity. Call for justice. The Levites' shocking act of dismemberment is a dramatic plea to all Israel for justice and accountability. Judges, chapters 20. The other tribes attack Benjamin. The chapter has only one heading. The other tribes attack Benjamin. But it has 48 verses. Judges chapter 20 summary. This chapter details the response of the Israelites to the heinous crime committed in Gibeah by men of the tribe of Benjamin. After hearing the testimony of the Levite whose concubine was assaulted and killed, the tribes of Israel unite to demand justice. Judges chapter 20 summary continued. When the tribe of Benjamin refuses to hand over the guilty men, civil war breaks out. Despite initial losses in the first two battles, Israel ultimately defeats the Benjaminites through divine guidance and strategic ambush. Judges chapter 20 main characters. The Levite, victim and witness, whose concubine was murdered. The concubine, her tragic death is the catalyst for the conflict. Benjaminites, defend Gibeah, refuse to surrender the guilty, go to war. Tribes of Israel, demand justice, unite for civil war. Phinehas, priest who inquires of God on behalf of Israel. God guides Israel in battle strategies through divine revelation. Judges chapter 20 Major places. Gibeah. In Benjamin, the men of the city commit a horrific crime. This triggers outrage and the civil war. Mizpah. The gathering place for all Israel to decide how to respond to the crime in Gibeah. It serves as the center of decision-making and judgment. Bethel. Israelite leaders go here to seek God's guidance during the battle against Benjamin. Rock of Rimmon. A hideout where 600 surviving Benjaminites escape after their tribe is nearly wiped out. They stay here for 4 months. Judges chapter 20 Important themes. Justice vs. Tribal loyalty. The conflict highlights the tension between moral justice and family, tribal bonds. Unity in crisis. Israel unites as one body in response to national sin. Consequences of sin. The crime in Gibeah leads to immense loss and civil war. God's sovereignty in battle. Victory is not in numbers but in following God's will. Strategic warfare. Victory comes through divine wisdom and human tactics. Ambush. Signals. Judges, chapters 21. The Benjaminites saved from extinction. The chapter has only one heading. The Benjaminites saved from extinction. It has just 25 verses. Judges chapter 21 Summary. Judges chapter 21 concludes the book of Judges with a deeply troubling but revealing episode that demonstrates the consequences of rash vows, national disunity, and moral chaos during a time when there was no king in Israel. After the brutal civil war against the tribe of Benjamin, chapters 19 to 20, the Israelites face a moral dilemma. They had sworn not to give their daughters as wives to Benjaminites. But they now fear the extinction of an entire tribe. Judges chapter 21 Summary continued. To resolve this, they used 2 controversial solutions. Massacre at Jabesh Gilead. They kill the inhabitants of this town for not joining the assembly at Mizpah, sparing only 400 virgins for marriage to Benjaminites. Abduction at Shiloh. They instruct the Benjaminites to abduct women during a festival, bypassing the oath technically. The chapter and the book ends with a stark line. In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. Judges chapter 21 verse 25. Judges chapter 21 Main characters. Israelites represent collective national decision-making, oath-bound but morally conflicted. Benjaminites, the near-extinct tribe seeking survival and restoration. Inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead, victims of Israel's purge due to non-participation. Virgins of Shiloh, unwilling participants in the solution to Israel's dilemma. Judges chapter 21 Major places. Mizpah, the gathering place for all Israel to decide how to respond to the crime in Gibeah. It serves as the center of decision-making and judgment. Bethel, Israelite leaders go here to seek God's guidance during the battle against Benjamin. Rock of Rimmon, a hideout where 600 surviving Benjaminites escape after their tribe is nearly wiped out. They stay here for 4 months. Jabesh Gilead, a city that had not joined the National Assembly. The Israelites attack it and capture young women to give as wives to Benjaminites. Shiloh, a religious city where an annual festival was held. The remaining Benjaminites abduct wives here to preserve their tribe. Lebonah, a small town near Shiloh, used as a landmark during the abduction of the Shiloh girls. Judges chapter 21 Important themes. Consequences of rash vows. Israel's oath not to give daughters to Benjamin creates a moral and practical crisis. National disunity and breakdown. Israel is fractured. Entire tribes are attacked. And justice is inconsistent. Moral relativism. Repeated refrain. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. The cost of conflict. Civil war has long-term social consequences, including loss of tribal continuity and cohesion. God's silence. Notably, God does not directly intervene in this chapter. Israel acts based on its own logic. Judges, chapters 19 to 21. Important Bible verses. Judges chapter 19. Important verses. Judges chapter 19 verse 1. In those days, when there was no king in Israel, a certain Levite, residing in the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim, took to himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. Significance. This verse sets the stage and introduces the repeated phrase, "There was no king in Israel," implying social chaos. Judges chapter 19 verse 22. While they were enjoying themselves, the men of the city, a perverse lot, surrounded the house and started pounding on the door. They said to the old man, the master of the house, "Bring out the man who came into your house, so that we may have intercourse with him." Significance. Echoes the sin of Sodom. Genesis chapter 19 shows the moral collapse in Israel. Judges chapter 19 verse 30. Then he commanded the men whom he sent, saying, "Thus shall you say to all the Israelites, has such a thing ever happened since the day that the Israelites came up from the land of Egypt? Until this day, consider it, take counsel, and speak out." Significance. This dramatic call to action sparks the national crisis in the next chapter. Judges chapter 20. Important verses. Judges chapter 20 verse 7. So now, you Israelites, all of you, give your advice and counsel here. Significance. The Levite calls all Israel to justice. Judges chapter 20 verse 13. Now then, hand over those scoundrels in Gibeah, so that we may put them to death, and purge the evil from Israel. But the Benjaminites would not listen to their kinsfolk, the Israelites. Significance. Benjamin's refusal leads to civil war. Judges chapter 20 verse 18. The Israelites proceeded to go up to Bethel, where they inquired of God, "Which of us shall go up first to battle against the Benjaminites?" And the Lord answered, "Judah shall go up first." Significance. Shows Israel seeking God's direction before battle. Judges chapter 20 verse 35. The Lord defeated Benjamin before Israel, and the Israelites destroyed 25,100 men of Benjamin that day, all of them armed. Significance. God's justice appears to prevail, but at great cost. Judges chapter 21. Important verses. Judges chapter 21 verse 3. They said, "O Lord, the God of Israel, why has it come to pass that today there should be one tribe lacking in Israel?" Single quote. Significance. A lament that shows national grief after civil war. Judges chapter 21 verse 15. The people had compassion on Benjamin because the Lord had made a breach in the tribes of Israel. Significance. God is seen as sovereign even in judgment and tragedy. Judges chapter 21 verse 25. In those days there was no king in Israel. All the people did what was right in their own eyes. Significance. Final verse of the book. A repeated refrain that underscores the anarchy and moral confusion of the time. This is one of the most quoted and discussed verses in Judges. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to this channel for more content like this.